You know, when you are a fan of someone, be it Vishal Bhardwaj or Shahid Kapoor, you root for every project, even though you see the troubling signs through some of the marketing material. O Romeo is precisely that film in which my inner voice was telling me that this may emerge to have the problems I am seeing in its final product, but externally I just couldn't help myself but admit it. All my fears, all my reservations with this film, most of it came true, and it breaks my heart. O Romeo is one of the Bollywood movies that I was eagerly looking forward to this year. Directed by Vishal Bhardwaj, this movie is inspired by Hussain Zaidi's work, Mafia Queens of Mumbai, specifically on how Sapna Didi approached Hussain Ustra and gave him the supari to kill Dawood Ibrahim and sabotage several of his operations. Even though this movie gives an endless disclaimer of how the movie is a work of fiction, how similarities are purely coincidental, let's be honest, that's merely for legal purposes, another reason why several of the names of the characters have been changed. We are transported to 90s Mumbai, in which the city has been marred by gang wars, where the film industry has a heavy influence of funding from the underworld, and where encounters in broad daylight are a daily occurrence. Ustra, played by Shahid Kapoor, is a gangster who works with the police force in carrying out encounters, specifically under the orders of Khan, played by Nana Patekar. On a random day, Ustra gets approached by Afsan, played by Tripti Dimri, who wants Ustra to murder Jalal, played by Avinash Tiwary, and several of his men. An offer that makes Ustra hysterically laugh, but finds himself over the course of the movie being in too deep, for he feels drawn towards Afsan unexplainably. The dynamic between the two characters on this journey that is fueled by vengeance, what is the motivation of Tripti Dimri's character to kill Jalal, and what is the connection or history between Ustra and Jalal, the animosity being so palpable that he is willing to kill him and burn his entire world, is what you will get to know when you step in for this really conflicting and ambitious film. I say ambitious because in the atmosphere of just franchise films getting greenlit, Vishal Bhardwaj getting such a massive budget for an original script is a needle in a haystack. We'll further dive deep on why it may have hampered its quality too. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch O Romeo in theaters or not. Expectations of outrage, what's true and what's false. I want to already inform you and tell you why Vishal Bhardwaj is not just any random filmmaker you can club with what is the trend in Hindi cinema. The nature of social media is such that it jumps the gun with outrage when clips or screenshots are taken from the film's marketing material, assuming that it's going to follow the same regressive pattern of a lot of our toxic Paglu stories that have followed. The sequences of Tripti Dimri being ordered around by Shahid Kapoor were circulating on how it is essentially an extension of what movies like Kabir Singh and Animal did. This is what I want to tell you after watching O Romeo, that not only are those scenes in context to the film responsibly portrayed, being appropriate to the context of the characters, where they come from and the relationships they share, but is far from the rage bait like nature of a lot of movies we see today. So for those already wondering that Tripti is essentially going to get objectified and ordered around in this film, I'm here to tell you that you are gravely mistaken and that her role is of substance, of great essence to the story. I just had to clarify all of this already because people become set in stone of what they feel about a movie by merely what they see on their social media timeline. The second part, however, that is undeniable, which the public caught on to, is that Disha Patni's role in this movie as Julie is absolutely inconsequential. This is something that most Bhardwaj fans did not expect, because actors, even while featuring in fun songs that can be termed as item numbers, do play a part in his screenplay. But this time Julie is merely there to dance in a kotha with Ustra. I must tell you, as this is my favorite topic too, I will find any excuse to see Shahid Kapoor dance on the big screen, and while the film is visually stunning and even the songs are captured well, at least you can get to see choreography from start to finish, but this has to be the two most underwhelming dance numbers with Shahid in recent years. Basad Macha from Deva and even him dancing in the Barat in the same film, a movie that had no business having choreography, had more flair than both the dance numbers in this movie. It made me think that the movie would have actually benefited from having an economical running time if it just scrapped the entire subplot of Disha and Aruna Irani. The dance songs and choreography are a huge bummer, and that comes from Shahid Kapoor's biggest fan. A time machine to Mumbai and the soul I will miss. Vishal Bhardwaj had said that he was eternally grateful to Sajid Nadiadwala to not only have faith in him as a director, but to invest so much money in the project. A project that is stipulated to have a budget of about 150 crores. And you can see it in the production design by Mustafa Stationwala and the cinematography by Ben Benhard, especially through at least 2 hours of the running time where the movie aims to transport us to Mumbai in the 90s. Even though some of the real locations like the biryani shop in which Tripti works or the godowns in which the illegal activities are taking place have essentially been created with sets being erected, I think the movie genuinely captured the chaos of the 90s brilliantly. I don't think a lot of us can comprehend on just how much of the wild west Mumbai was during that era. No wonder Vishal Bhardwaj introduces the movie almost like a western. A musician plays a flute, an ominous tune as the camera pans towards an abandoned ship where a gangster sporting a cowboy hat waits for his next order on who to assassinate. While I may have dragged the commercial dance numbers of this movie, there is this inherent soul in some of the melodious numbers in Vishal Bhardwaj movies that just stay with you. Ustra can't help himself but be drawn towards Afsan. Enamored as she sings a rendition of Hum To Tere Liye Hi The, you empathize with Ustra on why he's become slowly obsessed. Listening to Arijit Singh and the very fact that he may not be a regular feature of Bollywood movies ahead slightly broke my heart. The film in the era of CGI slop and VFX heavy films, where it becomes tough to even decipher where the films have been shot, is beautiful, at least visually. I'll cover the chapter of Spain a little later. Mid-action choreography and the main reason why it doesn't work. You know, what I realized as I watched this movie is that there is a certain vocabulary to staging sequences that just is not inherently a skill some creators possess. And I believe where Vishal Bhardwaj falters terribly in the movie is the staging of action choreography, and most importantly, when the style is there, the emotion isn't. I'll tell you exactly why. He has literally everything on the platter. He has a capable and nimble star like Shahid Kapoor, willing to go the extra mile to make the action convincing. He has some wild score choices, but the editing pattern of the action just does not land, for it is so abruptly chopped together, you almost get the feeling as if the task has been completed, versus how one reached there from start to finish. Trust Vishal Bhardwaj to think of an action choreography in a theatre where Dhak Dhak starts playing and he conjures up an EDM version of the classic track as he annihilates every version of Shakal with his trusted weapon, shaving blades. You see what a wild idea it is? Vishal Bhardwaj essentially creates a Street Fighter character with Ustra, a character that glides and skids through sequences with ease. He slides through water like Tony Hawk, annihilating goons like Max Payne with his automatic gun, and when push comes to shove, his blades always come in handy. These are great ideas, but the editing pattern of the same sequences are rushed rather than laser focused, especially when you will see the battle that happens as Dhoom Se Nikla plays in the background and Shahid destroys a drug den. This is particularly distracting when the movie shifts to Spain and Shahid ambushes Jalal's estate. Its ideas are interesting, the visuals are beautiful, but the editing pattern and emotion, most importantly, makes you beg just for a little more refinement. The cast and Vishal Bhardwaj's twisted mind. There is something very unique about Vishal Bhardwaj and his creations, and this is something that you will notice is consistent with his filmography, and that is the twisted and eccentric humor that is laced even in the most dire circumstances. This is dispersed everywhere in O Romeo. The motley crew of the gang members that are always by Shahid's side, how he wails in pain, crying like the Majnu he has become immediately after failing to get turned on by a prostitute, the banter shared between Nana Patekar and Shahid Kapoor while constantly trash-talking each other, the knack of Rahul Deshpande, a classical singer himself, breaking into a song before eliminating his prey with the biggest smile on his face. It's these elements that make Bhardwaj so unique and so exciting to watch. Sadly, the quality remains in spurts versus the close to 3-hour running time. What I love also is that Bhardwaj makes it a point to integrate his dream of what India represents, specifically its religious diversity, and how he in instances makes it a point to bring it up through several characters. I love the supporting cast of this film. As I said, Rahul Deshpande is a wild casting choice. Such a capable singer is given such a deranged character and he absolutely aces this role of a corrupt cop. Nana Patekar shares some really funny and intense moments with Shahid, and it actually sets up an unlikely friendship relationship of constant bickering brilliantly. Farida Jalal has a brief role in this movie, but I must say that I'm still in slight disbelief when I found Daijan swearing on camera. Hussain Dalal as Chotu is extremely convincing as the only man in the gang who can put some sense into the gangster. Vikrant Massey, in his brief appearance, I can't really reveal what his role is about, he puts forth a very praiseworthy performance indeed in the small running time he has. Coming to the two leads, Shahid Kapoor, just like every other bloody film, just gives it his all, man. Ustra is an impulsive man, frustrated in being a mere pawn in the system. He has a wicked sense of humor and doesn't think twice in eliminating those who come in his or his loved one's way. What I love about Shahid and what he picked up beautifully about Ustra is the submission of obsession, of Romeo being head over heels, understanding that this is the reason for his destruction. Afsan's presence makes him lose all objectivity, and it's for a love that he cannot even attain in this lifetime. Tripti Dimri has a deep sadness in those eyes, of sorrow, of deep hurt that resides with what happened with her. She is a tragedy queen in this saga, submitting to her only goal of vengeance, this odd balance of being ethereal, absolutely beautiful, like an angel, but a warrior too when needed. This odd dynamic of being in close proximity with one another but accepting its doomed nature from the start is the Shakespearean influence that may have been the core of this movie. And I'll tell you exactly where it gets snatched away. The commercial Bollywood problem and conflicting ideas. I've heard this from various creators while pitching their movies to producers that they really want to end on a high. Climax hona chahiye, London, Paris, New York. Sir, does it make sense that we go into this international location with how the screenplay is developing? That doesn't matter. Just imagine Times Square. This is what happens when creators believe that bigger is better, and O Romeo is a classic case of how the shift from the gritty streets of 90s Mumbai to Spain was just not warranted. This is where I believe even a creator like Vishal Bhardwaj would have been more than content to portray the ultimate face-off between Jalal and Ustra in the Badlands of Mumbai, like he so brilliantly did in the climax of Kamine. But the large-scale, big budget snatches you away from this realistic setting and takes you to the ultimate villain, whose side hustle has become to be a matador in Spain. Avinash Tiwary as Jalal was again, much like some of the elements of Shahid Kapoor, a character straight out of Street Fighter. Think of a 1v1 fighter game and you can imagine a matador with a sword as an option, and that is Avinash Tiwary. But he is essentially a gangster from Mumbai, so it just doesn't put two and two together. These stylistic choices of the movie, snatching you away from Mumbai and taking you to Spain, was only done for the excuse of scale versus what the story warranted. Jalal should be intimidating. Avinash tries very hard, but I couldn't help but feel like this is where the movie took the retro route, where the ultimate threat just did not intimidate you. It's rather amusing. You see this role in contrast to what Avinash Tiwary did in a series like Bombay Meri Jaan, and you realize that the styling and creative choice for this role would have far suited this movie than whatever vibe Bhardwaj was going for in this film. From a writing POV also, the movie makes this odd distinction between gangsters and terrorists as if one is better than the other, which I believe was very poorly etched out. It acts as a stimulus of change for some characters, and I found it to be extremely lazy from a writing POV. You can always excuse a film which starts off slowly, makes you question its quality, and gives you a worthy payoff in the end. But when a film starts with promise and whimpers in its conclusion, I think there cannot be a bigger sin than that while watching a movie in the theatre. Precisely what I experienced as O Romeo genuinely became a mixed bag of conflicting ideas that could have been special but just isn't. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about O Romeo. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.